Again, we will start with our Money That Last series, but let me start with a game. Okay, do you love games? Do you know the game, The Price is Right? Okay, for example, I showed you a certain picture with a price na 50 pesos. Pero ang original price niyan, na alam nyo, 100. So that is what percentage of the original price? 50%. Okay? So ready na ba kayo? Madali lang. This is very easy. First picture. Chicken Joy. Yes, okay. So 2-piece Chicken Joy, walang extra rice. Okay, just the meal. And the amount there is 145. So is 145 100% of the original price? 50% of the original price? Or 80% of the original price? Okay. Nako, okay. Sino nagsabing A? Konti lang. Sino nagsabing B? Grabe, mahal naman yan. So that would mean it's 290. Okay, pag 50%. 80%. Okay? O sige guys, labas nyo na yung mga calculator nyo para di kayo mahirapan. Okay, so the correct answer is actually A. Okay, it's 145 pesos. Okay, so that's very easy. Second picture. Gets nyo na? Gets nyo na yung game? Okay, medyo complicated ba? Gets nyo na? Okay. So demo lang yan. Okay, warm up. So second picture. From Chicken Joy now to iPhone 10, 64 gig. And the amount is 48,300. So, is that 50% of the original price? 70% of the original price or 100% of the original price? Ano sa tingin nyo? Okay? Ano sa tingin nyo? 50? Tama ba? 50? Okay, it's actually 70 of the original price. The original price is 79. Okay, pre-order. Chinek ko lang yan sa Kim Store. Okay, may plugging pa. Okay. Now, third picture from iPhone X for the guys. I hope you know this. Okay, Adidas NMDR1 Prime Knit Shoes. So the price is 3,598. Is that 50% of the original price? 30% of the original price or 100% of the original price? Guys, ano? Sa tingin nyo? Okay. Mga babae yung sumasagot, guys. Okay? It's actually 50% of the original price. It's 8,995 according to adidas.com. Okay, online again. And then, second to the last, for the ladies naman. For the ladies, it is Chanel Classic Chanel. Ano ba sabi ko? Chanel. Okay. Chanel Classic Flap Bag. The amount is $1,470. Mga lalaki naman na sumasagot. Ano sa tingin nyo? A, 20% of the original price? Okay, or is it B? Ano sa tingin? Sino nagsabing A? Raise your hands. A. Konti lang. B. Okay, sino nung C? Sino hindi magtataas talaga ng kamay? Okay, it is actually B. Okay, 30% of the original price. So the original price is in a Chanel, okay, classic flap bag, medium in lambskin, patent, or caviar leather. Wow, talagang specific. The current price is 4,900. Okay, and then last picture, guys. Last picture. Ito, madali lang. I know you guys can get this. Church tithe. 32%? 50%? Or is it 10%? Okay, the house is divided. So this evening, we will learn what is the real biblical description or definition of a church tithe. Okay, so for this evening, we will talk about giving and tithing. That's why, again, this is a very sensitive topic. And the church does not normally teach about tithing or about giving, but it is something that we have to learn. That's why, again, we would do something different. And I got a good feedback that you guys want to discuss in your tables. So again, we will have table talks. So I will give you a question and then try to answer that question in your table and then assign one confident speaker who is willing to share the common answer of the group. Okay? So, okay ba yun? So, yung i-appoint nyo, i-volunteer nyo, ay sana hindi first-timer, but someone who is willing to share. Okay? So first question. Again, this is a sensitive topic. Why is the topic of giving and tithing something that the church rarely want to talk about? So I will give you 5 minutes and just try to discuss that in your tables and then share to me your answers, okay? So go and discuss in the next 5 minutes. Why is the topic of giving and tithing something that the church rarely want to talk about? Okay. So let's go around, and who's willing to share? Which table is willing to share first? So why is the topic of giving and tithing something that the church rarely want to talk about? Sige, sinong gusto mag-share? Okay?
Hello.
Sinong i-volunteer nyo? Come on, guys. Anyone? Anyone wants to share your answers? Meron ba dito from this table?
Ito, meron dito.
Okay, guys,
Sige,
listen.
sunod kayo.
On behalf of our group, we think that the reason why church doesn't talk about it is because, or rarely talked about, is because they think that it's more of business, or they're very dishonest, or it's very superstitious for some people because they don't show how they spend it.
Okay, they see that the church is looking at it as a business.
Yes.
Okay, sige, good. Ano pa? Okay, sino pa? Another volunteer. Okay, here.
For us, the church doesn't want to talk about it because it might seem like they're imposing it or it's an obligation for the church goers.
Feels like an obligation. Okay. Last. Ano pa?
Dito daw, dito.
Ano pa? Sila Vince.
The church really want to talk about the topic of giving and tithing is that because kasi we don't want to sound like we're soliciting or it's like parang kasi it involves money and then so that's
Okay, so parang pareho na rin sa you don't want to make people feel that they are being forced or that you are trying to get their money. Okay. Game o you.
Hello. Hindi na kailangan ituro kasi yung mga tao sa church mapagbigay na. Tsaka nagkusa na sila nagbibigay.
Wow!
My gunner.
Saan tayo mamaya? Okay, so, ano yan?
Parang puro dito.
People are normally generous. Well, okay, let's try to discuss, no? So, you guys said that the church doesn't want to talk about this topic because some people see or they get turned off when they hear that topic. You know, the church is using our money, it seems like it's a business and all of those things. And sometimes for other people, they feel that if the church will talk about giving, that they are forced to give. That's why I don't know if you observe, I like what CCF is doing, right? We're not passing church or tithe boxes so that you would give out of your heart, okay? Out of a generous heart. We don't want you to feel that it is an obligation. And then, maybe people are generally generous. Again, this topic is very sensitive, but we do need to talk about it. Because there are, as you guys have said, there are stories or news that some church leaders do not use the money of the church wisely, right? There's this other news that I saw. Founder of the world's largest megachurch, convicted of embezzlement. Okay, this is Pastor Yongi Cho, if I'm not mistaken, a pastor in Korea, and the name of his church is Yodo Full Gospel Church. It has around 800, take note, 800,000 members. Wow. And he was convicted of embezzling around $12 million. You know, when we hear news like this, right, what do we feel? We feel turned off. Yeah, we feel disappointed. That's why the church doesn't want to talk about this topic. But I want you to realize this evening that we have to talk about it because the reality is giving is mentioned in the Bible. But some have really manipulated the message because of their own self-interest. That's why I'm going to show you a lot of verses, but we don't have to go through each verse, but I just want you to realize that there are so many verses that talks about giving. When I research the word give, it is mentioned a lot of times compared to the word love, compared to the word faith, compared to the word hope. Okay, now that the word give might not mean giving, but the point is it is mentioned in the Bible. It is something that a Christian should do. Giving is something that you are also called to do. Okay, that's why you would see that in Deuteronomy 19:7-8. In Proverbs 2:9, honor the Lord from your wealth and from the first fruit of your produce. Then, even in 2 Corinthians 9:6-7, James 2:15-16, if a brother or sister is without clothing and in need of daily food, and one of you says to them, go in peace, be warmed and be filled, and yet you do not what? You do not give them, right? What is necessary for their body, what use is that? And then even in Hebrews 19:16, and do not neglect doing good and sharing, for with such sacrifices God is pleased. So it's important for us to study this. Do you agree? Okay? But we have to just really be wise when we are going to study this. Okay? That's why when we decided to have this series, we decided as well we need to talk about it because this is very important. But if you see a ministry constantly talking about giving, then or maybe there is some hidden interest that they have. That's why they are doing that. But siguro, after 2 years, we will talk about it, or after 3 years. But it is something that we have to really talk about. It is something that you have to learn. Because I like what Charles Riley said. He said, grace does not make giving optional. It is the privilege and responsibility of every Christian, and it is the concrete manifestation of his love for God. Isn't that beautiful? Right? If you truly understand what God has done for you, what Jesus has done for you, that God gave His Son, right? Because you understand that you would want to give to others as well. Because that is what the Lord has done. And sadly, though, the world is teaching us that when we give, it is a loss for you. But I want you to remember this phrase, that for the world, giving is a loss, but for a Christian, giving is a profit. But let me explain that word profit because some of you may be turned off. Ay, Mark, yan yung sinasabi ko eh. Yan na yung business perspective. Oh, no, okay? Let me try to clarify that. Why did I use the word profit? Because you would actually see the word profit in the Bible. This is what Paul said, no? He said in Philippians 4:17, not that I seek the gift itself, but I seek for the what? The profit which increases to your account. Now, let me try to explain the context of this chapter so you would further understand what Paul was talking about. Now, you would see in Philippians 4:10-11, this is what Paul said. He said, but I rejoice in the Lord greatly that now at last you have revived your concern for me. Indeed, you were concerned before, but you lack opportunity. Not that I speak from want, for I have learned to be content in whatever circumstance I am in. So this is Paul talking to the church in Philippi, saying to the church, I am so glad that you have this opportunity right now to give, okay, to support me. But he was saying, but I am not glad because I am in need, because kailangan ko yung pera nyo, okay, or because kailangan ko yung love gift nyo. Kaya sinabi niya, not that I speak from want, for I have learned to be what? To be content in whatever circumstances I am. And then he went on in verse 12 saying, I know how it is to get along with humble means. I know how to live in prosperity, and in every circumstance I have learned the secret of being filled and going hungry, both in having abundance and suffering need. Then verse 13, can we all read? Verse 13, I can do all things through Him who strengthens me. Are you familiar with this verse? Yes. Right? Sino yung athlete na nagsabi ng verse na to lagi? No, wag na natin sabihin. Right? They misquote this verse. Okay, saying that it is, a supernatural strength. If I have Christ, I can do whatever. I can win games and all of those things. But you have to realize that what Paul was talking about is not about that supernatural strength. He was talking about contentment. That he was saying, I don't need your love gift in reality because I have learned what it is to be in need, what it is to have abundance. I have learned how to go through life because of Christ who gives me strength. He is talking about contentment. But sabi niya sa verse 14, but nevertheless, you have done well. But nevertheless, he is commanding them that you have done well in sharing with me. Then he went on in verse 15. You yourselves also know, Philippians, that at the first preaching of the gospel, after I left Macedonia, no church shared with me in the matter of giving and receiving but you alone. Verse 16, for even in Thessalonica you sent a gift more than once for my need. So you see that Paul was really talking about that gift, okay? That the church gave him something. And then he went in verse 17 saying, not that I seek the gift itself, but I seek for the profit which increases to your account. You know, Paul was simply saying, I am so glad that you gave something or a love gift to me. But I am not glad because I need it. I am glad because whenever you give, there is a profit for you. There is a fruit that is being credited to your account. Paul was talking about the benefit that the church will get because of their giving, not what he needed. So I want you to realize that when we give, it is not a loss for us. You know, there is so much that is at work that whenever we give, we learn so many things. There is a fruit that bears. There is a characteristics that we can learn from giving. That's why we should give, because giving produces godly character. Okay? And let me share those godly characteristics. Number one, when we give, we are showing what? We are showing obedience. Because it says in 1 Corinthians 16, 1-2, now concerning the collection for the saints, as I directed the church of Galatia, so do you also. On the first day of every week, each one of you is to put aside and saves as he may prosper, so that no collection be made when I come. So take note, Paul was saying, in terms of the collection, sabi niya in verse 2, on the first day of every week. So it should be frequent. Okay, it should be regular. And he was saying, what? Each one of you. So everyone is commanded to give. Okay, kaya sabi mo sa katabi mo, oh, magbigay ka na. Okay? Kung ano man yun. Okay? Because that is what God wants from us. Okay? It says there, on the first day of every week, each one of you, okay, should put aside. Take note, put aside. It is something that you do secretly. It is not something that you show, oh, I'm going to give whatever, 1 million pesos. Okay, you set it aside as he may prosper. And later we will discuss what that means. Okay? Or as fitting in your income. Because it shows that whenever you give, Lord, I want to obey what you have commanded. Okay? And I want to honor you with my wealth, with my finances. So it produces obedience. Number 2, it produces gratitude. That you understand what it says in James 1:17. That in James 1:17 it says, for every good thing given and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shifting shadows. That when you get your money, you understand, Lord, it is from you. Because everything that you have given me, it is good. And I just want to give you praise, and I just want to show my thankfulness by giving it back to you. It shows your gratitude. If you understand that every perfect gift is from above. So it doesn't just talk about money. Right? It also talks about your time. It talks about whatever material possession that you may have. That everything that you have right now is a good gift from above. If you would see it that way. It produces gratitude and it produces priority. Okay, it says in Proverbs 3:9, honor the Lord from your wealth and from the what? From the first of all your produce. That's why, what do you communicate? When you get your money, you spend it on whatever you needed to spend on, food, whatever, and then kung anong natira, oh Lord, sa'yo na yan. What do you communicate when you do it like that? Lord, my scraps are just yours, right? You're not showing, Lord, when I get my money, the first thing in my mind is to set aside something for you because you are my priority. That's why, see what it shows in your character. But if you feel na gagamitin ko muna lahat, hindi ko ano na lang matira, Lord, yun na lang, then what does that communicate, right? What does that show? And lastly, it shows faith. Actually, it says in Deuteronomy, not Proverbs 8:18, but you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is He, what? Who is giving you power to make wealth. That whenever you give, you are saying to the Lord, I might need this money, okay? But you have commanded me to give. and I want to obey, and I want to show my gratitude, and I understand that it is from you. So, I know that if I give, even if I lack something, you would still provide for my need. Because at the end, it is you who gives me the power to make wealth. So I want you now to discuss in your tables, when you are unable to let go of your money, friends, then what does that communicate? If we're saying that if we are able to give, it shows our obedience, it shows our gratitude, it shows our priority, it shows our faith, then when you are unable to let go or not give, then what does that communicate? Okay, so in the next 5 minutes, just discuss this question in your tables. Okay, so let's ask for another set of volunteers who's willing to share the answer of their group. When you are unable to let go of your money, okay, what does that communicate?
Dito daw.
Sinong binavolunteer nyo?
Dito daw.
Okay, sila muna.
Boys daw.
Sige, sila, and then sila, and then
Kami muna.
Okay. Game.
Siguro, brother. Siguro, selfishness.
Selfishness.
And idolatry.
Idolatry, I like that word. Okay, idolatry. Okay, okay, next.
So, it makes us remember of the rich young man sa Bible.
Okay.
When he was, asked God to, na parang how, diba? Yon. Labo, no?
Yeah. How to get
yung
eternal
gusto ko
life.
i-point out kasi doon is yung to let go of his possession. Mahaba kasi. To let go of his possession, but then he walked away. So, you will know the heart of that young man, that it's really hard for him to let go of his possession. So, it reveals his heart.
Okay, good. So it reveals your heart. It reveals what, let's say, what you love. Okay? Okay. Ano pa? Next. Last volunteer.
Okay. That you are disobedient.
Disobedient.
Okay.
Wow, sakit.
Plus.
Okay. Meron pang ganun.
May
Disobedient.
plus.
You
Plus.
probably are in love with the money or in a relationship or your best, not God's best.
Okay.
In love with the money.
So
In
your
love with the money.
God's best is money. Okay. So
Money.
disobedient plus love for money.
May last pa daw dito, Mark.
Sige. Go.
Sa amin naman,
Ito din daw. Sige, go.
Game.
sa amin naman, it shows that yung money is is your security. Tapos,
Okay, good.
hindi mo pinapriority si God. Yun.
Okay, I like that. Money is your security. Right? So, friends, you said when you don't give or when you are unable to let go of your money, it shows idolatry. It reveals what you really love, that you are being disobedient and you love money. That's why the Bible says you can either only choose love God or love what? Love money. And when you love money, that's now idolatry. And it shows that money is your source of security. That's why I've always believed how you understand God, how you know who God is, will determine your giving. Because if God is truly your source of security, then what will you do? You will give. Right? Because, again, you understand it is, or whatever you have, the money that you have, it is from whom? It is from God. Right? That's why you are not to focus on money and find your security, your strength, your all in money. Okay? That's why we have to learn to give because, again, see it as a prophet that it will produce godly character in you. Do you want to show this? Or do you want to show obedience? What's on the second one? Do you want to show gratitude? Do you want to show that He is your priority? Or do you want to show your faith na, Lord, I trust you. Even though I might need this money, but because you have commanded me to give, I will give, and I know you will provide for everything that I need. But let me just share some questions that you can think about when you are to give so that it will help you process if you are doing the right thing. So number one question, are you giving despite being unrecognized? Okay? Because you would see in Matthew 6, 1 to 4, that beware of practicing your righteousness before men to be noticed by them, otherwise you will have no reward with your Father who is in heaven. So when you give to the poor, okay, do not sound the trumpet. Okay? Do not want to be recognized that you are giving this big amount. Again, that's why I love what we are doing every Sunday. That it is being done secretly. Kasi if the tithe box is being passed, and then you see your seatmate giving a certain envelope, what do you feel? Ay, siya may binibigay, dapat ako rin. Okay, dapat magbigay rin ako. Right? But we are to do this secretly out of the gratitude that is in our heart. So ask yourself first, are you giving despite being unrecognized? Or are you giving from a cheerful and grateful heart? Ano nakalagay sa 2 Corinthians? Now I say this, he who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and he who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. Each one must do as he has purposed in his heart, not grudgingly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. Okay, do not give. And then, sige Lord, kasi sabi mo, sige, ito na ang 10% ko. Okay, yan na Lord. You know, to be honest, if you feel that way, don't give. Do you think the Lord needs your 10%? No, right? What does He want from you? To have the right heart. Have the right character. That you are giving, Lord, because you have done so many things in my life. You have blessed me so much. And the only thing that I could give, or maybe even give, is 10%. But Lord, I want to honor you with this 10%. So if you feel na, Lord, ano ba to? Kailangan ko na naman gawin to. Don't give. Don't ever think that the Lord will need your money. Because He is the source of all wealth. Third question, are you giving without expecting something in return? Are you saying, Lord, okay, I will give this 10%, pero balikan mo ako ng 20%, Okay, gusto ko ganun, Okay? That's why we are not teaching that you are to give so that you would be blessed in return and get rich. You are to give to be blessed because you are blessing others in return. Okay? And you are blessing the church as well to help the church expand His gospel or to share His message through the four corners of the earth. So when you give, do not expect, even if you lend a certain amount to a certain person, okay, just give it, right? Or someone needs what? 1,000 pesos. Okay, wag mong ilagay sa listahan mo, okay, 1,000 pesos, 1 month ka lang bayaran mo yan, kundi lagot ka sa akin. Just give it, right? Bless that other person. Do not expect anything in return. Fourth question, are you giving to give back what you believe is rightfully God's? That's why it says in Deuteronomy 8:18, again, I love this verse, but you shall remember the Lord your God, because sometimes we forget that it is God who owns what we have, because sometimes we feel, I did the work, right? I did 12 hours of overtime. This is my money. This is my 13th month. But you have to remember and always realize, for it is He who is giving you power to make wealth, that He may confirm His covenant, which He swore to your fathers, as it is this day. So ask yourself, are you giving back because you believe it is what is God's and it is rightfully God's? And then second to last, are you giving to further the gospel? Okay, that's why we are to give to the church, because the church is very important, because it is the church who will equip those who will go and spread the gospel. Okay? And it says in 3 John 7-8, for they went out for the sake of the name, accepting nothing from the Gentiles. Therefore we ought to support such men, so that we may be fellow workers with the truth. And then lastly, does your giving, again, show your faith to God, or will it show that money is your security, or that you love money so much? So whenever you're giving, go through these questions. Are you willing not to be recognized? Even though you might be giving a big amount, 6 figures, 7 figures, I don't know. Are you giving without expecting anything in return? Even if the Lord will not bless you, and even if the Lord will send trials to you, are you willing to still give? Right? Are you still willing to do that? Are you willing to give because you want to further the gospel? And does your giving show your faith? So I believe this is a good checklist to to really think about. That's why it says in 1 Timothy 6:17-19, instruct those who are rich in this present world not to be conceited or to fix their hope on the uncertainty of riches. But on whom? But on God, who richly supplies us with all things to enjoy. Instruct them to do good, to be rich in good works, to be generous and ready to share, storing up for themselves treasures of a good foundation for the future, so that they may take hold of that which is life indeed. Friends, again, if there's something that I want you to remember this evening, for the world, giving is a loss. But for a Christian, giving is a profit when performed under the right motives. That we are doing this because, do you remember the four attitudes, four virtues? Because we want to obey God, because we want to show our gratitude, because God is our priority, and because we want to show, Lord, my source of faith is you. My source of security is you. It is not money. Okay? That's why we are to give, because it is a problem. Don't ever think that it is a loss. But how can we give? How can we give? And let me just teach you this very simple application. How can we give generously? What's the two words? Can everyone read? Learn contentment. Okay, that is very important. And contentment can be learned, guys. That's why Paul said in Philippians 4:11, not that I speak from what? For I have what? For I have learned to be content in whatever circumstance I am in. Okay, contentment is not something that's natural to us, right? But it is something that you can daily practice. It is something that you can learn. Because ganito ang nangyari sa atin. Let me show you this graph. Without contentment, okay, so in time, your salary will increase. Okay, take note of that. That's a reality, okay? It might not really increase exponentially, but it will increase because of your experience, because of the different achievements that you may have. Pero ang nangyayari, as your salary increases, what do? You increase your lifestyle as well. Before, you were just earning, let's say, 10,000. Okay? Commute ka lang, ganyan, kain ka lang sa mga karinderya, and then you got promoted. Okay? 20,000 ang salary mo. Okay? Wala ka pa rin kotse, commute ka pa rin, pero nagja-Jollibee ka na. Yes, okay? Nag-ano ka na ngayon? Nagmamakdo ka na, right? Because you have money. You have money to spend. And then, because you're working so hard, you're now a manager, let's say you're earning 50,000 pesos, and then before you were just buying 3-in-1 coffee, and right now every day you're going to Starbucks, okay? You're not only going to McDo, you're going to Fridays, Outback, and all of those things. Then you can buy a car, and then you have to pay for the gas, and then you have to pay for the toll, for the parking, right? The lifestyle also increases. But if you can learn contentment, guys, this is what will happen. If we can learn contentment, there's a big area now that we can use for what? For saving and giving. Your salary will increase, but it does not mean that your lifestyle should also increase. Still learn how to live in a simple way. Now, I'm not saying wag kayo kumain sa Fridays o wag kayo mag-Starbucks. Hindi naman sa ganon, okay? But learn how to live simple, okay? Learn contentment. Your expenses will still increase because as you grow, you will get married, you will have kids, you will have to pay for their education and all of those things. But do not increase your lifestyle. Because take note, if this is what will happen, your salary will increase, and then your lifestyle will also increase. There's no what? There's no space, right? What if you suddenly lose your job? Nawala to. So, bumaba to. What will happen? You will now have to adjust, right? You're so used to driving your car, but you lost your job. Ngayon, ang hirap na magkukommute ka, ambayan, ayoko maglakad, ang init, and all of those things. But take note, if you can learn contentment, okay, if you can learn to really live in a simple way, your salary will increase, okay? Your expenses will still increase, but if ever it comes to a point that you lose your job, or bumaba yung salary mo, ano mangyari? Is there an adjustment? Only maybe maliit na adjustment, okay? But not a big adjustment, right? And there is still room to give or save. But sometimes we're stretching it, right? We're going with the increase of our salary, and so we don't have any room to give. That's why we feel ang hirap magbigay because wala akong extra. Mark, hindi mo naintindihan ang sitwasyon ko. Gipit na ako. That's why we want you to go through this series as well, because hopefully we will have a workshop that you would be able to know your budget, know what are the things that you can cut so that you can live in a simple way, so that there will be more room for giving and more room for saving. Okay? Live simple, learn contentment, so you can give generously to the Lord regularly and secretly from a cheerful heart. Ang hirap magbigay if wala ka ng space, right? Feeling mo, Lord, gipit na ako. But if you have room to give, what do you feel? Right? It's better that way. The Lord, I have so much. I don't need this big salary. I don't need these clothes. I don't need all of these things. I could just give it away. Because in the end of it, it is you who would bless me. Now, as I end, let me just share this story. And I want to be very sensitive about this story because, again, giving is something that's close to my heart, because whenever I would take yung gifts of the Holy Spirit, giving is always my number one. But again, it's not something that you would tell everyone, okay? Yan ang number one gift ko, giving, okay? Nagbibigay ako lagi, no? You don't do that, okay? But let me just share this story. Through God's grace, I was able to buy a car, and that was 2011. And pinicturean ko siya kasi I was planning to sell it. Why? Because when I went full-time, medyo bumaba yung salary, and I cannot, maintain the car. The maintenance, the gas, the toll, and all of those things. So I need to sell it. Plus, I will get married, and we only have one space for one car. So we decided that we would use her car, okay? Kasi mas bago yung kotse niya. So I plan to sell this car. And I was really praying to sell it at a nice price. Kaso, because of depreciation, medyo malaki na talaga yung dinicrease ng value ng car. More than 50%. That's why buying a car is not a good investment. Okay, it will always decrease. It is a liability. And so, to cut the long story short, I was able to sell this car, I think, a month ago or 3 weeks ago, at a price that I was not that happy, but in a way, I was okay with the price. So I got the money, and then I said, Lord, thank you for allowing me to sell this car. I don't know what to do with this money. I don't need this money. So I decided, Lord, I will give to you 10%. Okay, I would give to the church 10% of whatever is the total price, selling price of the car. So I gave the money, and I was not expecting anything. And then after a couple of days, suddenly I got this love gift. And pag love gift, okay na ako kahit pang kape lang, okay, or pang McDo lang, and I was very fine with that. But I saw that it was a big amount. And so I got the love gift, and I said, Lord, thank you again for blessing me with so many things. And I gave 10% again to the Lord. And I want to just share this testimony, because when I computed what the remaining 90% of my love gift, it was the same amount as the 10% of my tithe in my car. And when I was thinking about that, can't be coincidence, guys. And it can't be coincidence. It's the same amount. It was as if God was telling me, Mark, ibabalik ko lang sa'yo kung anong binigay mo. So you cannot outgive God, friends. He is the one who owns everything that we have. What He wants is for you to show Him that you want to honor Him, that you love Him so much, that money is not an issue for you because you don't hold your money as your source of security. But your source of security, your faith, is founded on God. That's why you are to give as much as you can. Okay? So I hope you learned something this evening. But we also decided to open the floor to some question and answers, questions that you may have. You have any questions about tithe, about giving, I want to answer and ensure that you guys really understand the message. At the end of it, it's really not about the amount. It's about thinking what godly characteristic you can learn or you can show. That, Lord, I love you, that's why I want to give you this amount. Okay? So, I don't know if they would distribute some papers so that you can write down any question that you may have, because this is a very sensitive topic and I want to answer again your questions. So, sige. So, let's see if
Yes,
you...
guys, do you have any questions? And syempre, sasagutin na ni Mark ng buong puso.
Buong puso.
Yes. Ayun, men, si Ian.
Ay, hindi, mag-host din
Oo
ako.
nga eh, sabi ko nga, di ba? Kaya nga tumayo ka dun. Guys, dito,
Any
meron ba kayong questions?
Yeah. Please share your ano.
Oo. Huwag kayong mahiya. Ayun, si Miss Tin. Yan.
Yes, Miss Tin?
Question. Do I need to know where my tithing goes?
Do you need to know where your tithing goes? Good question. Ang sa tingin niyo?
Excellent
Hindi, joke lang.
I agree. Very good question.
Yes, you need to know where your tithing goes, but not to the point na, okay, church, you need to give me a report. Na ganito, pumunta dito, pumunta dyan. That's why you are advised, encouraged to give to your local church, because you know what your local church is doing. Nakikita niyo yung mga activities, nakikita niyo yung mga programs, nakikita niyo yung facilities, because it is part of stewardship that you would know what is being done to your money. So, it's just right that you need to know. But not to the point of being detailed that you would require a church, I need a 2-page report, okay, to give me a report where my tithe went from the past 5 years. Hindi naman ganun. Okay? But at least, you need to be comfortable enough that I see what the church is doing, I like where the church is going, and I want to give to this church.
Yes.
Yan.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, follow-up question pala.
Thank you. Follow-up question din sa church tithing. Me as the giver, dapat ba ako nagsasabi kung saan mapupunta yung tithes ko? Or I submit to the authority of the church kung saan nila gagamitin?
Okay, good question again.
Good question again. Yes, I agree also.
If you have the liberty to request that you want to give this money to this ministry, then go ahead. No, you are free to do that. But what you're saying pa rin, when you give to the church, is I submit to the authority of the church. Okay, so if the church would feel na this money should be given to this certain ministry because it is a need during that time, then you don't complain. Na hindi, gusto ko sa ano eh. But if you have the opportunity to let the church know, kaya nga meron sa tithe envelope sa CCF, others, or whatever, campus missionary, then you can do that. Okay? But at the end of the day, the church will decide, how they would manage the church. That's why you have to trust the direction of the church. You have to trust the leaders of the church. You have to trust, how they manage their money.
Meron pa bang questions?
So, di ba magbibigay tayo ng 10% of what we get? Is it okay to divide my tithe? Say, for example, magbibigay ako dito, tapos magbibigay ako sa isang Christian foundation that I would like to help.
Okay, good question. Now, let me clarify this. Guys, listen. This is something that I've learned and medyo natuwa rin ako. No? So, I want to share to everyone, or to ask everyone first, when you hear the word tithe, ilang percent? 10. Okay, that's the common notion. Pero inisip nyo ba, bakit 10%? Naisip nyo ba, bakit 10%? Bakit? Kasi yun ang sabi ni Marc? Oh, kasi yun ang sabi sa Bible. Okay, yun ang sabi sa Bible. Okay, good. Because if you would look at it in the Bible, you would see the word tithe in the Old Testament. Okay, these are just a couple of verses in the Old Testament that would talk about the tithe. And the tithe simply would mean 1/10. Okay, or 10%. So doon yan. Now, if you would study all of these things, okay, maraming nire-require yung law na tithe, na 10%. You would see that in the Old Testament, there was under a theocratic nation, and merong 3 types of tithe. May tithe for the Levites, may tithe for the feast, and may tithes for the poor. Now, I'm not really an expert of the law, okay, but I did my research, and the point is, during that time, the nation of Israel was under the authority of God, okay? And God was ruling, and then the priests were mediating for God. And then there were laws that God commanded the Israelites to do. Okay? And part of that law is to support the Levites. to support those who would decide or who would mediate for him. Part of the law is meron din feast, and of that law is to tithe for the poor. That was under a theocratic nation, which is God is the authority, the supreme authority, supreme ruler. But I like what John MacArthur said. He said, so you might say that actually in reality, during the Old Testament, it was not just 10% because ang dami. May 3 types of tithe. It was around 24 to 25% in an income of an Israelite living in the kingdom that was funding the national government. So in short, yung sa Old Testament, it was not free will giving. It was taxation. Okay? That is the 10% na nasa Old Testament. Okay? That's why pagdating sa New Testament, okay, they're now not under the theocratic rule. They're now under the Roman government. Meron pa ring taxes. Okay? Kaya we are still to give our tax. It is a requirement. Kaya nga sabi ni Jesus, right? And he said to them, render to Caesar the things that are to Caesar, and to God the things that are God's. And they were amazed at him. So even Jesus said that we are still to give that tax, okay? That it is something that we have to do, obligated to do, okay? So that was the situation during the Old Testament. But in the New Testament, you would see that Paul said we are no longer under the law, but we are under grace. That's why you would see in the New Testament, wala nang 10%. Okay? Wala nang nakalagay na you should give 10%. Only in the Old Testament. Ang sinasabi lang ni Paul ay ito. Now, concerning the collection for the saints, I directed to the church of Galatia, so you do also. So there is still giving. Let's make that clear. And then you would see certain principles. And in verse 2, sabi, on the first day of every week. So there is that regularity, that frequency. And then you would see each one. So again, it is commanded each one of you should give in a regular or frequent manner, and then is to put aside. It is something that is done in secret, okay, not to be recognized, and so that he may prosper. Or in another version, in keeping with your income. So let me be very sensitive about this. If you would really think about it, and if you would really study the Bible, friends, sa New Testament, wala na pong 10%. That's why you have to learn generosity, not percentage.
Okay.
Kasi kung percentage, o sige 10%, but you have the capacity to give, then give more than 10%. Give 20%, give 30%. Okay? Because we are now no longer not under the law, but under grace. But remember this. I want to share this verse. But the heart is deceitful than everything else and is desperately sick. That's why, in my opinion, keep the 10% as a guideline. Kasi pag narinig nyo yung sinabi ko na wala na 10%, ganun ba, Mark? So okay lang pala, hindi na ako magbigay. 1% na lang.
Okay, I just have to reiterate that.
Again, because the heart is deceitful above everything else. So there should still be a guideline, okay? And there was a study that 10% is the minimum that the church can get, and it can still go on with its operation. So I would say still go with the 10%. But for some reason, if for some reason, you're gipit ka talaga, and you are living in a simple way, na naglalakad ka na lang sa office, simple na lang pagkain mo, okay, wala ka ng internet, wala ka ng TV, tapos hindi ka makabigay ng 10%, 5% lang, but it is still out of a generous heart, out of a cheerful heart. God will not say, dapat 10%. God will accept what you can give because it is from a right heart, from a right motive, from a cheerful heart. Okay, that's why you are to ask yourself, am I doing this because I understand who God is? That He is my security. So, to answer Anne's question, okay, na medyo mahaba na. So, if it's okay to cut it in half, 5% dito, 5%, well, again, wala na kasing 10%. So, it is okay. But my advice is, give 10% to the church, to your local church, because it is something that you are part of, something that you see what they are doing, and then if you have extra 5%, go and give it to that ministry. Okay? Because, friends, you still should support the church, not because the church is asking for your money. Because if the church dies, what will happen? Everything will be lost. Right? The church is so important because the church is the one equipping you and me to teach the Bible. The church is the one equipping individuals who would go out and share the gospel. So you should still support the church. I'm not saying don't support any ministry. But when we talk about a certain ministry, merong specific niche or focus siya. That's why you should still support your local church, local body. Okay? Pero if hindi kaya yun, then spread it out, 5, just be responsible to know na ano yung ginagawa nila, are you aligned with that, and all of those things.
Okay, Mark, just to recognize the question that was raised. I think nasagot na rin to kanina. Which standard of tithing to follow? The one from the Old Testament or from the New Testament. Yeah. So like you've mentioned, so we are no longer bounded by the percentage of what we give, but syempre it is out of the generosity of our hearts, and at the same time, yung being a cheerful giver nga. Then, in addition, ito rin, I think na-cover na, should we give or should I give a certain... Sorry. Wrong page. Should I give 10% of my salary every cut-off or on a monthly basis only? I think it was mentioned every week. I think it's a good parang discipline din also that every time na you earn something, you set aside na immediately para hindi mo na rin siya magastos. So I think the Bible is also clear with that, and it's a wisdom for us.
So pag sinabing cut-off, if you get your
15,
salary,
30, ganyan. So, yun. And, follow up to that, kasama ba ang Christmas bonus or any other service of income?
Meron din dito ko, third and
is it an earning o ninakaw mo? Pag earnings, I guess.
Okay, so again, we're going with the same principle, right? We're not saying that every income that you have to get 10%. If you feel you want to give 10% and that is how you want to honor God, then go ahead. So give 10% of your 13th month to the Lord. Again, it is something that you have to think about, no? If I do this, go to the questions. Am I okay even if the Lord will not return something back? Am I doing this to show my faith? Is it okay for me not to be recognized? That's why shinare ko yung list na yon. Okay? Because it would depend upon you. I cannot dictate. Kasi if I tell you 13%, 13 month mo dapat 10%, you might do it out of what? Out of obligation. Kasi yun ang natutunan ko last Saturday. Yun ang sabi ni Marc, tuturo niyo pa ako. Kaya sabi niyo pa kay Lord. Si Marc kasi
sa commentary ni Marc, ano ba daw?
So, it should be something that you want to do. Or something that you are joyful to do. Okay? You get your 13 month na 100K, kaya ano ba 10% yun? No? Hindi ko alam kung may ganun na. Joke lang yan.
Okay. Marc, I think this is not connected with tithing, but connected with giving. So, magandang question siya. If someone is in a hard situation and needs money, how far do you go? How do you draw the line of if they keep asking and if they are really in a very needy situation?
Good question. So the situation is meron kang friend or
pwedeng a brother din yan.
A friend and a brother or sister that constantly is asking for help. Of course you want to give, right? You want to support your friend. Pero minsan nafe-feel mo na parang abusado na yata, na lagi na yata. That is the time that you have to really pray and ask God for wisdom. I've experienced that. Na meron time may napansin ako na ganun din. Now, I wanted to give because I see that the person really needs the money. But I have realized that at times I have to be tough. There's tough love. Because I want that person to learn as well. But it's not as if parang sinasabi ko nilang ayoko. Okay? I ask him, bakit kailangan mo na naman? Ano bang nangyari? Ano bang nangyari sa budget mo? Okay, and all of those things. You have to do your part and really trying to understand ano ba yung reason. Kaya ba siya laging humihiram? Kasi pala, baon siya sa utang and hindi siya makaalis sa cycle ng utang na yon and meron siyang struggle na ganun. Then the problem is not money. The problem is what? Yung cycle ng utang na yon. That's something that you have to deal with first before dealing with this. Kasi if you deal with this and not this, ano mangyari? Babalik lang siya dito. Okay? That's why you have to do your part in really talking to that person, asking that person, what is the reason bakit kailangan mo yung pera? Okay, not just, okay, I need money, okay, ito na, 5,000, ito na, 1,000, okay?
I need money.
You have to be wise in asking the right questions. Oh, what happened? What happened to your family? What happened to your work? And all of those things. But if you have to be tough, because nakita nyo na nasasanay na, naging dependent na, then you let that person know, friend, I want to give, but I feel that this will not help you. That this will just help you in that cycle of debt, cycle of dependency, and I want to help you more than that. Okay, more than just the money. That's why you have to really talk them through it.
Thank you, Mark.
At ano din, follow up lang din dun sa explanation. May tanong ako.
okay.
Actually, hindi ko alam kung sino nagtanong nito. But,
Hindi, sa'yo talaga yan.
hindi. Binigay na sa akin tayong host, diba? Anyway, kung may utang ka at kailangan talagang mamili, ano ba talaga yung dapat unahin, lalo na kung gipit talaga?
Akin pala yan.
May utang ka.
Oo. Ito, binasa ko lang, guys. I'm so sorry.
Okay. So, let me clarify the question. Merong utang siya, tapos marami siyang utang. Tama?
Sanong niya kung may utang ka talaga and then kailangan niyang mamili.
Kung ano yung babayaran niya muna.
Kung anong dapat niyang unahin.
Tithing ba or utang?
Okay. At tithing ba o utang? Ganun ba? Or marami siyang utang, pero sino yung una niyang babayarin
No.
utang?
May
Tithe
utang
or
ka.
utang?
Ako
Ganon.
kasi yung nagtanong. Joke.
Okay.
Marami akong utang, but syempre, kailangan ko mag-tithe. Ito na lang yung natitira ko sa sweldo. So, parang,
okay.
if I tithe, I'm not honoring God kasi ang dami ko ng kaaway. Joke lang. Parang may ganong bang situation or scenario? Or am I not honoring God because I'm defaulting with all of my obligation? So,
Okay. So, you're choosing between utang or tithe. Yan.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so at least clear. Well, let me think it through, no? So, first you have to ask, bakit ka ba may utang? Is it something that was really uncontrollable? Or is there a certain struggle that you have kaya ka may utang? Kasi credit card ka ng credit card, tapos bili ka ng bili kung ano-ano. Kaya baon ka sa utang. Okay? Now, if ganun man yon, if that is the reason, parang it is not right na inuuna mo yung utang, and mali na nga yung pag-utang mo, tapos hindi ka pa mag-tithe. Right? But if for some certain reason you are under debt and there's nothing wrong with it, there was no wrong approach or sin in it, I believe that if you would prioritize tithing, the Lord will help you be out of debt. But you have to think first, tama ba yung reason bakit ako nagkautang? Okay? So if tama naman, prioritize tithing, and I believe the Lord will help you get out of that debt. If you want to really honor Him and show your faith sa Kanya.
Thanks, Mark. And I think we have...
last one question. Okay.
Last one.
Pero if you have still have any questions, so bigay nyo lang, then we'll forward it to Mark. So i-research nyo lahat yung buong. Okay, so but still have any question, please forward it to us.
I always hear this question, pero ako alam ko na yung sagot. Do you tithe based on net income or your gross income?
Ano sagot? Alam mo na, joke lang. So, sa tingin nyo? Gross.
I did by 2.
Okay, pag nag-tithe kayo na net, what do you communicate? Ayun na lang. I leave you with that question, right? When you tithe with your net, what do you communicate? Parang ganun lang din yun. Na I get my salary, I buy whatever I need to buy, whatever is remaining, Lord, yan na, sa'yo na yan. Okay? The scraps are yours.
Tsaka tanong nyo, gusto nyo ba yung blessing na net o gross? Di ba?
Nice point
Okay, so
Take note,
thank you
galing
so
sa akin yan.
Thank you so much sa lahat ng question. Again, kung may question pa kayo, please forward it to us or to someone, okay? so we can answer it. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark, for that
Sige. So
wisdom and wonderful insight.
Before we
Thank
close, let me just pray for everyone. Let's just close this activity properly with a prayer. Let's all bow down our heads. Let's pray. Lord, we thank you, God, that you are a faithful God. We want to apologize, Lord, and ask for forgiveness for the times that we have not honored you with how we used our money. If we have not given generously, if there are times that we have loved money more than you. Lord, I pray for everyone that is here, including me. Lord, I know that temptation is real. I know some of us will really rise the corporate ladder. And I just pray, Lord, that together, as a singles ministry, Lord, we would learn to live in a simple way and then give more. Lord, I pray that we would all learn contentment and that we would all learn to give from a cheerful and from a joyful heart. We know, Lord, that we cannot, or you don't need what we can give. But Lord, help us, Lord, to have that discipline of giving, to show you our faith, to show you our obedience, to show you our gratitude, and that you are our priority. Oh Lord, just thank you for this time. Free or protect us from any temptations, Lord, regarding the love of money. Lord, it is nothing compared to you. And Lord, I just pray that you would just really be with us each and every step of the way. Thank you, Lord. All these things I pray and ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Thank you, guys. God bless.